I'm really excited about this. Like, you have no idea. Today we're talking about Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. Boom! If you don't know, this is the 4th book in the Throne of Glass series. There are 6 books total that are going to be coming out for that, and I mean, you gotta read before you can watch. So if you haven't read any of the Throne of Glass books, get out, go read them. Queen of Shadows. At this point in the story, after Air of Fire, we have Aelin going back to Adarlan, and she's separated from Rowan, and, you know, stuff is going down. Like, Dorian is stuck in a collar, Chaol is no longer captain of the guard, the king is evil, Manon is wing leader. Like, I don't even know. There's so many stories going on at once. Basically, this is my most anticipated book of the year. I did not know it was going to turn out that way until last December, and basically it's just important to me. So this book was just super important to me when it came out. If you don't know, I did a huge reread this past month. Huge. I read The Assassin's Blade in July, and then in August I did rereads of the first 3 books in the series. If you don't know, they're pretty big in size. Air of Fire is over 500 pages. And of course, I was starting my junior year of college, and I really had no intention of rereading them. It was the best decision I've ever made. And it's all because of The Assassin's Blade. Yes. So, if you've not read Queen of Shadows, and you're going into it, good luck. But also, please read The Assassin's Blade before you read this book. I cannot stress that enough. It's super important that you do that. I did not realize that until I actually did it myself, so yes. So if you want to know what I thought of this book before I get into the spoilery section, I loved this book so much. You don't even know. You don't even know. Like, I just think it's hilarious because Crown of Midnight, I was so excited. Air of Fire, I was so excited. And I have a feeling looking back in 2 years when the last book comes out, I'm going to be like, man, I thought Queen of Shadows was good. Like, wait until you know what's coming. Like, I'm so excited. This book was great. I have very minimal complaints about it. 99.9%. It's getting harder and harder. I don't want to give it 100, but I almost want to give it 100. But I don't know what's coming. So, I don't know. It's great. It's like my favorite of the series. I think it's my favorite Sarah J. Maas book, but again, that will change more than likely in the future, unless Sarah, like, loses her touch, which she won't, so... Okay, please leave now. I'm gonna talk about things, and you don't want to get spoiled. Okay. Emily and I went and got Queen of Shadows together the day it came out at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon because I had class, and so we got it. We went to Target, and I don't think anybody told anybody else about this, but Target selling signed copies, so I got one. I started reading it at 3 o'clock on the 1st, and then I stayed up until like 1:15, 1:30 that night, and I got halfway through, exactly. And then the next day, I kind of read a little bit throughout the day. I had classes, and I finished it last night at about 1:15 a.m., and naturally I had an 8 a.m. today, so that wasn't fun, but I really have no idea how to do this review because it was just so good. Oh man. Emily was ahead of me for the most part. She finished before I did because I have freaking classes and homework, whatever. I don't even know where to start. Like, I wrote a review on Goodreads last night just to put down my initial thoughts after I'd finished it, and it's just... let us start with my favorite part of the entire book, and that is why it's pink. This book is pink because of the freaking girl power that is raging through the pages there. Like, so happy about it. Like, we start out with Aelin, who just has come into her own. Like, she is awesome. I love what she's become. Like, she's evil, but she knows, like, how to hide it, and she knows it's a mask, and, like, she's really awesome. And, like, I'm so happy that Air of Fire happened because, she's just great in this. Like, vicious, but also not, and I just love her. So she was great. We start out with her, and then, of course, you know, we kind of move on. We know Manon is really cool, and she's a thing, and so we're like, yeah, Manon's awesome. I'll get to Manon later. But then we get all these other characters that just kind of like pop out of nowhere, like Lysandra. I don't know if it's Lysandra or Lysandra or what. I say Lysandra just because I studied Shakespeare in my time, and there's Lysander in Midsummer Night's Dream, so I'm calling her Lysandra. It sounds better. Anyways, Lysandra is amazing. Like, I read The Assassin's Blade and hated her like everybody did, and I was just so pleased with how she turned out, you know? Like, I just, girl, friends and power, I don't know. She was hilariously sassy. Like, she still, even though she was Aylin's friend, like, she didn't lose her character of being a sassy girl, and I loved that. I love that she's a shapeshifter and that she wants to be this gray leopard. Like, so cool, so awesome. And then there's her little girl, Evangeline. She is adorable and wonderful and sassy and awesome. I love her so much. You know, and then we keep going and we get a lead, one of those, don't know, again, I need pronunciation help on this, Sarah. When she showed up, both me and Emily were like, saw that coming, she was gonna come back, yes. And like, I just loved seeing her as a character because, you know, she seems frail, but like, she's actually smart and very resourceful and like brave and wonderful, and I love her. She's awesome. And then of course, as we go on, we get Cultane returning, and like, Cultane is awesome. You know, it's just amazing how Sarah can take these wicked girls and turn them into weapons that are super cool and kind and nice and fun and awesome. Yeah, so I'm really glad Cultane's character turned around because it just added to the wonderful array of female characters. And then of course, you know, we have the 13 with Astrid. I so loved Astrid's story arc. It was just great. And Sorrel and Vance and all them. Vance, I think. Anyways, I'm trying to think, what other girls did we have? I mean, I think Nesrin! Thank you, self. Okay, Nesrin is Kale's bae. She's wonderful. I just remember seeing her pinned onto the board on Sarah's Pinterest, and I was like, wonder who that is. And yeah, she's awesome. She's great. I'm just picturing so many things right now. It's wonderful. So basically, I just love this book because every 2 seconds I was just like freaking out about the women. Like, the women ran this show. Like, Beyonce was so right when she said that, who run the world? Girls. Yeah, I think my favorite girl, I mean, besides Aylin, because Aylin tops pretty much everything, probably a mixture between Manon and Lysandra. I love Lysandra's character. The only girls that we did not get represented in this were Ansel, who is surely gonna come back. Like, she is gonna be in the next one, if not the last one. And then I still really want the healer girl from The Assassin's Blade to come back. I can't remember her name, but I want her back. I love her so much. I don't think there's anybody else really that I'm waiting on, but females. It's so hard to talk about this because I want to talk about everything, but I can't remember all the things. The men, I guess we could talk about. Let's talk about all of them and how hot they are. Like, Sarah knows how to write good men. I really liked Avion. Like, he's such an interesting character because he has so many facets to him, but I just think he's great. Like, he's funny, he's really strong. Like, I dig him a lot. I really hope he finds somebody, mainly Lysandra. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I'm hoping. Like, I ship that ship. Our boys, Kale and Dorian. Was anybody else super annoyed by Kale in this? Like, I'm glad he came around in the end, but for like most of the book, I swear Sarah was imitating Adam Kent in Ignite Me. I just was super annoyed with him. He was super pissy the whole time. And Dorian chapters were like the hardest to read because they're super short, so you don't get a lot of information about him. But he's just like, I forgot my name. I know that girl. I've seen her, but I don't know who she is. I don't care. He like gives into it, and I was just so sad. It kind of reminded me of The Host because, you know, like the dual personalities, but unfortunately the Vogue Prince was not as nice as Wanda. I mean, we could talk about the bad guys, like Arabin, little bastard, hated him. There were so many times when I just wanted to slice his throat open. thankfully Lysander took care of him. He just made me so mad the entire time. Like the part where she goes to him and he slips the fake ring on her finger, I lost it. Like the next page, luckily, she's like, oh, haha, that's funny, that's what he wanted to do. But like, for that one page when he was like controlling her, I was like, shit, this is it. This is where I die. I'm just really glad that he's gone. Him and the king. But like, I knew something had to happen because like, the king was too easy of a target. Now we just have all these evil people like Parrington and... What else did I like about this book? I liked all of it. Like, honestly, the thing about this series, there are so many really great characters in it, but like the POVs are on point. They come at the best times. There were only a few times where I kind of had to like sit back and be like, I really am not in the mood to hear from you, Manon and Alid, just because Aelin is in the struggle bus right now and I need to see her. Honestly, like I loved all of the pages. They were wonderful. I had no problem with any of it. Like, it was everything I wanted and I loved it. Let's talk about Rowan. I'm just gonna, put it out there that I knew beforehand. I had gone to a signing a couple months ago and I had gotten some information there about it. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. But basically going into it, especially going into the reread, I knew that Rowan was like endgame. And so I was reading and it's so obvious. Like if you ever go back and reread the first 3 books, like, ooh, there's like this poem in Crown of Midnight where it has, or a song, it's the song that fancy famous singer sings, and basically it talks about like a princess and her fey prince, and I was reading it and I was just like, dude, Sarah had it. Like, she predicted it in the second book. She knew what was gonna happen. So, I mean, I just was really accepting of it, I guess. And when I was reading Air of Fire, I noticed more and more how much I enjoyed them together. Like, initially, I was only a fan of them being friends because basically I just wanted Aelin by herself. But honestly, Rowan is so beautiful and perfect, and I just love their relationship, and I love Rowan. Rowan is just one of my favorite guy characters ever because he's so smart and strong, but he's also really sassy and funny, and he doesn't, like, I don't know, he doesn't underestimate Aelin. He doesn't underestimate Aelin. Like, okay, some of the best line he had, so they're getting ready to go to Arabin's before they kill him, and he gives Aelin this big thing of like almond oil to put on her so she smells like him or whatever, and so she puts it on and they get there and they're talking about it, and Arabin's like, I'm so happy that you put on that scent for me. She's like, yeah, and Rowan is like, yeah, me too, my skin was so dry. And they kind of look at him and Aelin's like, what are you talking about? And he freaking put it on. He's like, I mean, he never said that I couldn't put it on. He just wanted it on you. It's so funny. The wit. Okay, this book is hilarious. Like, Emily was laughing out loud every single second she was reading. But, like, oh, so many great jokes. Like, Lysandra is really funny. Adian's super funny. Rowan. Aelin has some great lines. Like, the sass and the wit is just on point in this book. And to take that a step further, the curse words amped it up. It was great. Like, reading it, I could feel Sarah J. Maas like smiling, just because there were so many usages of the word shit. But the one thing that I think is hilarious, like, she used rutting a lot. Like, you better get out of this rutting palace, I can't stand you, kind of thing. And both Aelin and Manon used it, and I was like, that's not the word she wanted to use there, but she's being nice and using that word. So I'm excited to see if she goes further in the next book. But that was really entertaining and fun. I really enjoyed where the plot went. By the time I got to the end, I was really nervous that all the loose ends would be tied up and we wouldn't really have anything for the next book. Clearly we do, but the happy ending, oh, it was so great. And like, even though we did get a lot of more questions, we got a lot of answers, I feel like, and it it worked out very, very well. I still have so much I wish I could talk to Sarah about. Like Manon's eyes. What the heck is up with her eyes? I need to know this. Let's talk about the ending. The ending of Sarah J Maas books are my favorite. They are always dramatic and plot twisty and wonderful. The best part about this ending, it was so fast paced that like I was going, like I read and read and read and I didn't know when I could stop. Like I haven't read a book that fast paced since like maybe Catching Fire, but like Catching Fire doesn't make any sense when you read it the first time. This one, like I completely understood everything she was saying and yet I still read it super fast as if it were an action scene in a movie. Like I didn't even plan on finishing it last night because I had an 8 a.m. and it was super, like I still had 150 pages or something. But I just kind of like started it and I couldn't stop. It was so intense. There were so many moments like where my heart just like stopped and then it came back to life, you know. It's funny because the whole book I felt like there was minimal trials, you know, up until the end for the most part. Like Aelin would plan something and it would work out in her favor. You know, rescuing Aedion, for example, or, you know, saving Chaol from Manon and all that stuff. Like, usually she got out of it alive, and the reader in me kind of was like, would that really happen? Like, if this were real life? I don't know. But it kind of made up for it in the end because all this shit just went down. Like, all the bad things were happening. And I mean, luckily it worked out, so that's good, but it was hard to read. Constant roller coaster of highs and lows, and it's hilarious because I've gotten a Snapchat recently within the past couple of months, and the only reason I use Snapchat, honestly, is to share my bookish reactions to things. And so it was like midnight, and I'm reading the end of this book and freaking out, and Emily had already finished. So I was just sending her all these snaps of me like freaking out about it because I can't just like put that on my story, you know, I don't want to spoil people. So I saved a bunch of them to my phone, and it's just my face like freaking out, like crying, screaming, excitement, you know, like I just had a great time on Snapchat while reading this. Chaol practically sacrificing himself, and Dorian coming to terms and like realizing that he's Dorian and he can make it out, and him and Aelin using their powers together, and like the King of Adarlan is actually Jonathan Morgenstern, and so crazy. And then there's like the whole part with Manon and Alid. Oh my gosh, I loved Manon's rescue. Like, she's like racing and running to get to this girl. And it was just so beautiful to see Manon like turn into this like actual caring person who smiles and laughs. And it was just like, she's the Grinch. Her heart grew 4 sizes too big, you know. I honestly don't know why people wouldn't enjoy this book. I mean, part of it would be like if you really did ship her with Chaol, but like Chaol isn't for her. Like, you know, I can see him with Selena, but not with Aelin. It just doesn't make sense, and I wouldn't want them together. So I mean, I guess that's one reason, but like, how could you not enjoy this book, and how could you not love it with all of your heart? Like, I just don't know what you would find wrong with it. Honestly, unless you don't like romance, maybe, or fantasy, I'm not sure. But like, I was kind of looking up, I like looked on my Goodreads to see who had finished it of my friends and who was rating it what and stuff, and I saw a couple 4 stars, and I was like, dude, like, no, this is a 5-star book. Like, it's bae, it's wonderful. Like, I love it more than ACOTAR, and ACOTAR was pretty good. I don't know, it was super smart. Like, I thought Aelin was so great at planning things, and how it all worked together, just mind-boggling. Like, I don't know how Sarah came up with all of this, because she has to be as smart as all the smart characters. Smarter, usually, because she has to know ahead. And, like, it's the planning, like, the plot, the characters, the wit, the writing style, like, honestly, I cannot say a bad thing about this book. And I'm sure when I reread it, I will find things that I dislike about it, because that's how it goes. But, like, it was funny, it was great, and, like, all the things that happened, I wanted to happen. I don't have enough words for how much I loved it. Like, just finishing it, I wanted to, like, hug Sarah so bad. And I'm so sad that she's not coming anywhere near me for tour, but I did just see her in May, so maybe I'll see her on the next one. See, but that's the thing. Like, when I finished last night, and even now, like, thinking about it, like, we're supposed to be like, oh yes, Top 5, I'm so excited, I'm ready for that book, you know? But, like, honestly, I'm so content. Like, she pretty much gave us like an almost end to the series. Like, it feels almost that way. So like I'm scared and interested to see what happens in the next two books. But like, I'm so content right now with that ending that like, probably not going to think about Dog 5 for a long time now, because it was great. Like, I honestly cannot see how it can get better than this. I do not know at all. I'm so happy that I found this series, and I'm excited to see where it goes and what happens, and like, Sarah J. Maas, like, round of applause for that lady, because I love her so much. Thank you for listening to me rave. I would love to hear your thoughts. Hopefully you loved it as much as I did, because wow, it really touched me a lot. It was wonderful. I'll see you next time. Adios.